Hello, hello Aries. Welcome to your December 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you're a sun, moon, or rising Aries. Just so you guys know, Akashic Record sessions are available. You can go on my website if you want to check those out, onyxhealing.com. And don't forget to check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing. Sign up for my newsletter if you want to stay tuned for the 2020 readings and get weekly mini readings sent to your inbox. Other than that, I'm going to lay this spread out and then we will get started. Okay, let's start with your oracle cards. So first thing we have is I am patient, knowing that whatever is of the highest good is coming to me. So here's the trick. When we're zooming in on something in particular, you have to be really mindful about how you do that in terms of manifestation. So if you're overly fixated on, I'm patient, I'm patient, I'm patient, I'm patient. I mean, sometimes that can be really frustrating, right? Because then all you are creating is patience. And then other times, if you're focusing on the deficit of what you're wanting but might not be in your life yet, that can also be kind of frustrating. So you really have to play around with how to ground within yourself and get into the energy of it's being created in present time and things are moving in the right direction. So it is kind of a fine line with patience. Not being overly fixated on the waiting piece is kind of how you want to be patient, but also focusing on what is working and what's already happening and letting that kind of steer you. And then the archetype for December is the storm. Okay. I like to think of this because it is very, very similar to the tower. I like to think about it as a feather duster. Like it just comes in and sweeps everything away, like all of the debris kind of gets knocked around. And then you have that stillness that sits with you after that. So think about the calm after the storm, like purely based on contrast. So even if you're like in the middle of something really big or something that feels really stormy, the peace that comes after is based on the contrast. Or this is just saying things are really getting shaken up because you kind of need that old debris that really isn't working for you to kind of melt away. Now let's see what the central energy is for you this month. Knight of Pentacles. Okay, so definitely exercising boundaries this month, focusing on getting it done. So just playing with how you're leaning into the dedication of whatever it is you want to create, right? That's kind of the whole point of being here. Let me see the crossing energy. We have strength, personal power, a lot of willpower coming through here. So what you really want to keep in mind is just how are you harnessing your masculine, right? It's something that, depending on who you are and what like you're most confident in and what works best for your physical body and your energetic body, you might either need to use masculine energy in a way where it's about just discipline and creating structure, right? If feminine is soft, then masculine is really firm. And so kind of allowing the feminine energy to run within the structure that you create. Or if you're masculine dominant in terms of the energy that you're running on, and remember, this is all energetics. It has nothing to do with physical form. So that is something where you want to make sure that's not out of control, where you're running into burnout or wearing down your body. So depending on what you're working with, it's about using the masculine in a way that bolsters you, but that you're not drowning in. So you really have to find your balance with that, because you can have masculine go haywire and for that to be way too much, and the same thing goes for feminine. And so you just want to play with the energies so that they support each other rather than get, you know, all intertwined in the wrong ways. What you have shifting out this month is the Three of Wands. This is really about looking and creating a plan. So I'm seeing this as you've set the plan, you've set the intention, right? And so you're kind of moving in that direction. This is what's stabilizing you to getting there. So it seems like it's just a continuation of what you've had going on and then clearing out the debris. It's basically like if you were to shake a tree and just get all of the bugs and stuff out of it, is kind of what's happening now. And then just knowing that with conviction, willpower, and kind of using that that structure within yourself is what's gonna pay that off. And then the oncoming energy, we have the 10 of Pentacles. This is stability. So the 10 of Pentacles, and remember, you're the creator, so you can totally go against what I'm saying. I like to remind everybody that they have free will. The 10 of Pentacles is showing that this is a really great energy for stability, foundation, actually getting to the point where there's no more of the floating off into outer space, but instead the foundation is already built. So this is kind of like the work has been done. You've put in the effort, you've put in the energy. Now everything is kind of building on top of what you've already done and created. So now you can continue building that house on top of the foundation. The outward manifestation for you is the 7 of Pentacles. I think your experience in December is going to feel more scattered than it actually is. So the 7 of Pentacles is kind of like if you need to scatter a whole bunch of seeds, or you need to make a whole bunch of attempts at a whole bunch of different things, putting your energy in different pockets. This is saying that you're gonna feel this way, or this is kind of like what you're in the midst of. But I also see this as narrowing your focus because you have the Storm card right here. So I don't think this is a permanent state. I'm gonna go ahead and clarify it. The Hermit, okay. Yeah, so this, because there's an eye sitting right there, it tells me that's just the way it looks. So it might look more scattered or feel more discombobulating than it actually is. And that's just kind of the energy that you're trying to work out right now. So it's interesting because you have a lot of stabilizing cards and then you have the Storm over here. So it just cracks me up that it's like, hey, yeah, there's still elements of this happening in December, what you're already going through in December. But all of this is serving you kind of grounding into your next steps and what you actually want to build. So using the discipline, this is like the big theme for you. You might be feeling super on top of the way that you're disciplined with yourself and the way you kind of give some stability to yourself, or you might be feeling the total opposite, like you have no discipline. Remember, this is about working with a balance, or not even a balance, but just making sure you're running healthy energy that stabilizes you. And so that's something that you might need to practice if you feel like that's at a deficit for you. In the subconscious, we have the Fool. I want to clarify this one as well, because the Fool is like a fresh start. So this could be the way you're thinking about things as being where you have a fresh perspective or a fresh approach. But let me see. The Sun. So it looks like there's a little bit of play or enjoyment or pleasure that's missing from the equation, because the Fool is kind of childlike in the sense that it's not, the Fool is not jaded enough to not take risks, right? Or to not stop and smell the roses, or to not do things in a different way or in an innovative way. If you're seasoned, like if a King popped up here, then that would signal more maturation in that area. And so this is saying, nope, it's play, it's fun. Maybe you're nurturing a lot of inner child stuff this month. So keep an open mind with all of that in the way you're pursuing your goals. Make sure you're checking in with maybe some elements that are missing, or if you're actually enjoying the journey, or if you're feeling miserable. Because if you're feeling miserable, then that's where we're getting called to do something different. But if you're enjoying it, if you're having fun, if you feel like you're celebrating your successes and you're enjoying what you're doing, That's going to make the journey more sustainable. Okay, the advice for you is the Hermit. So I think you need to spend some time in contemplation. That's the main thing that's coming up with that bear. It's like the hibernation card of like, let me retreat, let me think about it, let me gather my thoughts. It's definitely not about jumping to any conclusions necessarily, but instead asking the right questions. You just have to reflect within yourself and figure out if you're feeling good about what you have going on, or if there's some shifts you need to make. Now, the external influences, we have the Hierophant. Man, this is just not letting up with all these boundaries, structure, like being, of course, it's funny that you have play and structure coming up, but I think discipline is needed, or there's probably a lot of stuff that's either making it easy or more difficult, right? This could also be another deficit. Like if, because you have the Storm card on the table, that tells me it's either hard to come by structure, or structure isn't necessarily easy if you're kind of like trying to balance yourself in the middle of a storm. But that's oftentimes when we need it the most, when we need to have something to grab a hold of within ourselves. And so I'm just seeing this as you might need to foster that environment for yourself. This doesn't look like a person at all. It looks like either an environment or an organization, or just something that you have to create. Hopes and fears. Knight of Cups. So there's actually something here about not really wanting to pay attention to your emotions. So I think that's why the Hermit is coming up. Is like, hey, you have the answers, but you really need to pay attention to your feelings. So sometimes, especially with, if you have a lot of Aries energy, or that's a prominent part of your natal chart, it can be like you have conviction about this thing that you're wanting, but you can often ignore the emotional cues that are telling you, hey, maybe there's something else that you want. That's not going to resonate with all of you, just so you know. That's definitely not 100%. This is a general reading. Don't come at me in the comments. Use your brain to decide for yourself what your situation is, okay? So just keep in mind, it might be something where you actually need to pay attention to that emotional pull in a different direction, which can be a tough pill to swallow. That's part of why the Storm is here, to shake things up so you can see clearly and feel clearly. Or it's about trusting your emotions and your decision making, and that sparking a lot of fear. Even if you already know what they are, you know what they're saying, it's just the action piece that might be missing. And so this is showing up as a fear card more than a hope card. And the outcome of the month, 3 of Pentacles. So it's nice to see this because it's like you're weaving together exactly what you're asking for and what you've been pursuing, right? You have the 10 of Pentacles and the oncoming energy. So leaning into the stability is really going to help you, or creating that stability for yourself is the task in December. So you can get to this space towards the end of the month when you're really feeling like you can produce at a higher level. And that's missing when you're unstable. Okay, let's get into the timeline. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th quarter. So the 1st quarter of December, we have Warrior Woman. Have you answered your deepest calling? This is what I was mentioning here with the Knight of Cups. If you're not paying attention to those emotions, to the desires, to the pull, right, of what you really want, then you're going to need to be doing that. Or if there's something you're ignoring, or maybe you've been walking down a path for a long time and you might want something different, and so now you might feel griefy around deviating from that original plan, right? Because when you invest a lot in something, it's very hard to let go of those things, but it's, occasionally that's a decision that needs to be made. So you have to be honest with that part of yourself if there's something else coming to the surface in December. 2nd quarter, Pillar of Light, your vibration is rising. You are the Oracle. This to me tells me that it's kind of like things are smoothing out. You know, in part, it's kind of like, okay, especially pillar in particular is coming up as like this stabilizing piece is very important through all of this, especially you have patience, storm, and then using masculine energy wisely in the month of December. So consider that. Card number 3, or quarter 3. Don't dim to fit in. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? Cutting through the nonsense, cutting through the noise in the third quarter, just living authentically where you can. I know that there are some environments where that might not be possible, right? For safety reasons or, you know, family reasons or whatever might be coming up in that third quarter. But it's also like not sacrificing yourself in order to fit in or in order for things to be okay. Pushing against that as much as you can, which can be really difficult during the holidays, but know that that's what this is highlighting here, is just to not contort and shapeshift in order to please others. That's a dangerous game. And then wrapping up the month, we have awakening, energetic upgrades, and new way of being, integration. Yep, so this month is going to be quite intense for you, and it seems like there's a lot of self-discovery in this month as well, which, I mean, hopefully we're constantly discovering things about ourselves, but it seems like you're getting a large dose and then downloading and integrating everything by the end of the month. Let's do a 3-card pick. So just pick a card, any card, whatever feels right to you. Ask a question, ask for guidance, whatever you need. Card number 1, Strength. So once again, it's kind of like you're the one who's in charge and in control. I know some people have mixed opinions about like how much you should really use this, or if you feel like, oh, I'm just operating from my will exclusively, and that's either burning me out or it's not yielding good results. But it's more about the perception of what you have the ability to create and what you do have control over. It seems like you kind of want to reel that in for yourself, and then knowing that the actions that you take, the things that you do consistently will pay off. Card number 2, we have the 2 of Coins. Okay, so decision making. This is also about just kind of weighing pros and cons, like weighing out your decisions, taking things into consideration that you may have not before, but just kind of looking from a few different vantage points for your own sanity, for your well-being, in order to come to the right conclusion. So this is like slower decision making is going to be better. Really feeling into your emotions is going to be wise for you. Looking within yourself is going to be a wise tactic. And then card number 3, we have the 5 of Wands. My favorite card, problem solving. The friction is what creates traction. The traction is what creates tools, solutions, progress. All of this kind of pushes you forward really fast. And so the 5 of Wands is typically really uncomfortable because it's about problem solving and there being a struggle. But that's actually where all of the best stuff lives. And that's where all of your creativity, your ingenuity comes up. So the more you can harness that, the better off you're going to be in trusting that the 5 of Wands is helping you, not harming you, which is the main challenge with that. All right, everybody, that's all for your December reading. Don't forget to check out your sun, moon, and rising signs if you haven't already watched all of them. And if you would like to stay up to date and get notifications on when I upload new videos, you're welcome to subscribe or take a moment to sign up for my newsletter if you prefer to stay in contact that way. Also, check me out on Instagram at Onyx Healing. And as always, if you would like to work with me one-on-one, you know I'm available. Akashic Record sessions, meditations, classes, all sorts of good stuff. Go to onyxhealing.com for all of that info, and I will talk to you all later. Have a good one. Bye-bye.